where some persons, at the end of the exercise, will tell you, oh, we had this number of votes, and they'll be unable to present. Because I recollect that during the presidential election in 2023, early this year, some person said, even here in Lagos, that their party scored 900,000 votes. And as we speak till date, they have not been able to substantiate that assertion with fact. So as we go down, as we go for the Kogi, Bayelsa, and the Imo State election, of which some of us will be there to monitor this exercise, what is your message to Nigerians, especially citizens and residents of these three states?
Yeah, listen, thank you very much. You've really captured the entire scenario very, very, very aptly and very correctly. Unfortunately, this election is not taking the kind of attention that it deserves. As a matter of fact, even myself, I lost count on the date. It was just this week that I even looked at my calendar and know that election is on Saturday. Because the presidential election and all the cases that we are characterizing them of things tend to overshadow this off-season election.
Oh, yeah.
And they didn't give it the much needed publicity and attention that it deserved. So a lot of people, maybe, I'm not even sure that people from some of those states are even fully mobilized and aware. But let's give it to them, that they are aware that they are having
I'm sure,
election.
because a lot of activities have been going on.
Because they are having an election. Because everybody was fixated on what's happening in the Court of Appeal, Supreme Court, with respect to the presidential election.
Well, on this program, the conversation, we have had a rundown
but I mean,
of the election all through.
Yeah, what I'm saying is the much needed general publicity, even among the other conventional media houses, radio stations. But that will not remove the shine that those states are going to elect their henchmen. Yeah. Now, you've said something very, very apt. Look, elections are conducted at polling units. You either win or lose at those polling units. So, if you are a serious contestant, you must pay a lot of attention to those polling units. You have your agents accredited by INEC.
That is allowed by law.
That is allowed by law to be in that polling
in that polling station, yes.
Now, look, this much touted IREF, and you said it clearly, IREF is a viewing portal. It is not a collation portal.
System. The courts have made it very clear.
It's not a collation.
Yes.
It is not where you authenticate your result. It's a viewing.
Viewing, yes.
And what are you supposed to find on IREF? It's the result of your polling units.
Are the polling units, yes.
Which is entered in the form EC
8A. Yes.
Now, so whatever that is going to happen in these states, you win, you lose, it depends on what
happens at the polling. Yes.
That you have.
That's the document recognized by law.
Document and which the courts have repeatedly,
yes,
over and over,
overstated
it. That
yes,
if you are thinking, because I'm even shocked, Nelson, that since we have so much short memory, or we like playing to the gala, like say this guy will play too much. You see, shortly before the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal gave their judgment, the Supreme Court gave a judgment with respect to the Osun State election.
Yes, which was very instructive.
So, at the time the Supreme Court gave the judgment about Osun State,
yes,
those who went to court to canvass for IRF or no IRF should have even withdrawn their case and said this matter has already been decided.
No, not the Nigerian politicians.
Exactly.
Not the Nigerian
or the Nigerian lawyers. With due apologies to them. You know, because the same set of lawyers that went to court over the Osun State matter,
yes,
and got judgment
and
in their
knew
favor,
how the judgment was unassailable.
How the judgment was.
Yes.
Are the same set of lawyers that went to the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal to canvass a negative part of what they canvassed at the Osun. So, what kind of society are we living in? And listen, if don't say this out here, I will not be happy. I think our courts should see themselves as a cost center to the country. What do I mean? When you bring cases that are frivolous,
vexatious,
that do not have, that you know does not have any chances of making it, you should be. What the President Appeal Court did was good, but not far-reaching. The penalty, the fine, the cost should be very heavy. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court didn't award cost. For me, I think when people sit down and they felt they can either rob the system, they can either disrupt the system, they can incite the system, or try to bring down our institutions, let people know that the consequences will be heavy. Lester,
what you have just said brings to mind the case of a former governor of Delta State, James Ibori.
Yeah.
You recognize that when the courts in Nigeria acquitted him of those corruption charges, and he was arrested in London and made to go through the rigors of the law, we got the information, it was there in the public space, that the lawyers he procured
his lawyers,
to go and take up his legal battle, that they were the ones that said, I won't go to court and argue this case. This case is so clear. Better admit and get your sentence. If you think I will derobe myself going to court, and the court now wields the big stick against me, I won't do that.
Exactly.
And immediately he pleaded guilty.
Exactly.
And he was sentenced.
And he got a discount. He got a discount for his
sentence. He got a discount for his sentence.
So because a situation whereby you know that this matter you are taking to court do not have any significant chances of success.
Even you like one of the justices said, he quoted the former late Justice Chukwudifu Okuta, that the law of probability, that even you yourself, when you put some things on the table, you know that, how can I go and be saying this? Are you telling me my education is a total misnomer?
I was tempted, Nelson, to say that maybe there is mass production of lawyers. Mass production.
I don't think so.
I was tempted to say it. But you see, when you look at the fact that these people that went to court are son, so they are senior lawyers. Like you said, it was not quite long. You went to a case in Osun.
Yes.
And got,
the Supreme Court gave a judgment.
And got a favorable judgment on the same issue. Remember, Adeleke had certificate issue.
Yes.
Adeleke had serious certificate issue.
Yeah.
It was this same set of lawyers that went to court to get Adeleke out.
Yes, and the court judgment was very clear.
It was very clear.
It was pronounced in English language.
Yes.
Which is our lingua franca.
So, you also went to court on IREF. The judge was clear about it.
Yes.
You went to court on swimming. Now, you now revise yourself and come to court on the reversal of what you pleaded in the previous case.
And got judgment.
The consequences is not grave enough. If maybe the cost is so heavy in hundreds of millions, because for you to waste the court's time, it's time. Those court judges sitting, the government pays them.
Yeah.
The government pays for
the court is a place for serious business.
Yes, the court pays for the stationaries. The government pays for the stationaries. The government pays for that. The government pays for the environment.
Yeah.
So if as a time they are supposed to sit, they didn't sit on your frivolous issue, at least the electricity will be saved.
Yes.
The generator will be saved.
Even their health.
Their health will be saved. So when you come to court with frivolous things that the court will throw, Obi's case is because I lasted 3 minutes for it to be dismissed. That tells you how ridiculous
the grounds for his petition.
For the petition.
Well,
I'm not saying if you are aggrieved, you shouldn't.
Yes, you can go, but
your lawyer,
your counsel,
to
advise you properly,
to sit you down
and say,
and look at like
this place is
the
not,
probabilities. Say this one's.
It's no good area.
Under similar circumstances.
Yeah, this is what we got. Yes.
This and then be sure that when you are going, so anything that's going to happen on Saturday. And anybody is trying to seek redress, please make sure that you take a cue from what has happened.
Well,
and seek your redress reasonably. And what people can rely on and say this man has a good case, have a good case and lost. Now have a useless case and blame the system.
Don't expect anything new, from the Nigerian politician. Because
and the lawyers,
because I've been an election observer severally, and I have witnessed a situation whereby a candidate for an election at the beginning of the election, on election day, was already in the media shouting INEC has rigged me, INEC has compromised. Only for him, after the election, after the votes were counted, and he emerged victorious, the same mouth that he used to condemn INEC in the morning, in the evening, he was saying, INEC is the best institution in the world, that this is the most perfect election.
Exactly.
So I think the ball is in the court of Nigerian people to take notes and not allow themselves to be
But they don't take notes.
No, we'll continue to do that. Well, Alesta, thank you very much for your submission on this stanza of the program. As we go for the elections in Kogi, Bayelsa, and the Imo states, we wish the people of these three states, a peaceful, credible, and successful election, and that whoever emerges victorious at the polls will do justice, to the votes of the people for the next 4 years. We want to quickly go on a short break. We'll be right back. Please stay tuned to the conversation on TV360. We'll be right back. Yes, welcome back to the second stanza of the program, the conversation coming to you from TV360 here in Lagos, Nigeria. My name is still Nelson Ekujumi, and I still have with me in the studio Alesta Wilcox, a public affairs analyst as well. Alesta, quickly, we want to look at the state of the economy presently. In the last couple of days, we have seen the Naira, nosedive in the official as well as the black market, like we used to call it. But just of recent, we have seen an upward reversal in which the Naira has, continued to be on the upward swing against the dollar. And we are also aware that the present administration, if you look at the economic indices, the present administration has been able to plug a lot of loopholes in the system, and this has made it possible for the administration to be able to even pay back the forex backlog that was owed by the central bank to some of the foreign airlines, that were almost pulling out of Nigeria because they couldn't repatriate their funds. And the Naira, as we speak, from about 1,300 Naira to $1, I'm told it came up to about 900 Naira or 750 in both markets over the weekend. Yes. So Nigerians are asking, how can we sustain this momentum? And if you ask me, there's only one roadmap to sustaining this momentum. And the roadmap to sustaining this momentum is to borrow from the words of the former President Muhammadu Buhari, who said we should eat what we produce and produce what we eat. So long as Nigerians want to continue to keep the dollar as a medium of storage rather than the Naira, so long we'll be in this mess. So long as we don't produce, because unless our local productive capacity is up and doing such that our dependence on imported products will be on the low side, such that the productive capacity maximum that we can generate at home, if we're able to export after meeting our local demands, if we're able to export, these local products and they compete favorably with goods in the international market, then we'll generate more foreign forex. And in that way, the value of the Nigerian Naira will compete with the dollar. But as we speak now, a lot of Nigerians continue to, behave like the proverbial ostrich, wanting to hold the government accountable for the downward slide of the Naira, saying that, when the government came in, Naira was 600. Look at it, as if the Nigerian government produces the dollar. As if the Nigerian government determines the forces of... I don't know any government in the world. Maybe I'm ignorant. You are a financial expert.
Listen, what's happening to us in Nigeria is crass sabotage, lack of patriotism, and willful manipulation as far as our forex market is concerned. It is expected that the force of demand and supply, genuine demand and supply, will determine prices because of the flotation of the forex market. But you wake up every day, you see a new price. You wake up in fact, it started since after COVID. If you step back, during the early days of Buhari's administration, the naira plummeted to the point that it got about 500 something naira to the dollar. By the time the CBN got their acts together and intervened, for a long time we were at 360, 350, 360 until COVID set in.
Yes.
Now, when COVID set in, there was limited supply, especially from
because economic activity
slowed down.
Was almost dead.
Now, the question was, when there was no inflow, what was happening? What was that the outflow demand? Now, that is where speculators begin to cash in. Nigeria, what is driving this market is speculators. And just like you said, those who have chosen to make the dollar as a store of value. A lot of Nigerians are into this unpatriotic act. Very unpatriotic, as far as I'm concerned.
The Senate is even trying to make a law now.
Yes.
Criminalizing
where you now keep where Nigerians, businesses in Nigeria, hotels and others are now pricing their services in dollars. A lot of people that want to jackpot, they are now procuring and storing dollars. Not for, even if it is for import processes, one can understand.
That's productivity. That's a legitimate
productivity, production. But where you are acquiring and storing, and that's speculating, and it's cut across a lot of, even not just individuals, company organizations are doing it. So what's happened in the last few days is the fact that the government now pumped in dollars and now pumped in some money into this thing to stabilize into the system. Because they have already said it before that, because we also know the challenges that we have with oil production. We know the challenges we have with export. We are not an exporting country. The few people that are exporting, they are trying. We commend them. But the generality of us, we also want to have everything imported. Nobody wants to eat Nasco cornflakes. We want to eat Kellogg. But we cannot take Kellogg. I think understand that they're having a factory in Nigeria now. So we want to eat. Everyone wants to carry iPhone. The moment any phone comes out, we want to buy. Everyone wants to wear Brazil hair, all kinds of. Everyone wants to wear everything foreign. We want to wear shoe, bag. So with that, there'll be stimulus pressure. Everybody that is supposed to look, they go to Broad Street. I keep saying, if you go to Broad Street, Broad Street is no more Broad Street. It's now Market Street. Every of those buildings, Mandelas, every of those buildings in Broad Street have all been converted to stores selling what? Shoe, bag,
to shopping complex.
Shopping complex.
Yes.
I worked in Broad Street in the 90s. All those buildings, apart from maybe UB and a few other buildings, have all been converted to shopping malls. Selling what? Shoe, bag, wristwatch, and all imported. So you cannot continue. Then the easy blame is government. Government is not responsible for price of currency. They don't fix it.
At all.
The days when government was fixing price of currency was before pre-1986, pre-SAP. People always make this stupid analogy. Before, naira is stronger than a dollar. That was when the government was fixing it. Because as at that time, how many people need television? In the 80s and the 70s, how many people travel? How many people need television? How many people need fridge? How many people are living in flat? People are living in face.
In fact, all the things we were consuming then were locally made.
Even those that had fridge.
You had vehicle assembly
even those that had fridge. It is
they were in Nigeria.
They will import this thing and make it in Nigeria.
Yes.
Those that are having fan. How many people have AC in their houses? But how many people have TV?
Do you have color TV?
And we using the black and white.
There was this black and white that we closed the.
How many people even have it? Maybe in the whole street, maybe one person. Everyone will go and stand at the window to watch.
I remember
but today,
very well.
Our needs have so increased that
next
I'm showing your house now, there are like 7 TV if I can count very well. Because your parlor has 2. Your
the
kitchen
one that the children are playing game with
is there. And that is how it's replicating everywhere. It's economic, it's development, but development that is transport, that is filtering out our scarce foreign exchange. So what will happen to the value of our local currency? So now speculation is rife. Store of value, which is the biggest economic crime. But of course, because liberalization, which biggest economic crime? Because people just go, like those who earn, even those who earn 1 million per month, even those who earn 500,000 per month, they just take what they need. The rest, they go and buy $1. Even if it is $100, they can buy. If they can buy it, just keep storing it. And then, so in future, I will need it. So these are the problems. And government cannot continue. And who suffered is all of us.
It's all of us.
But,
yes.
And the worst part of it,
for the activities of
the few, the worst part of it is when prices go up on account of those indices, it hardly come down.
Yeah.
Now from 1,300, now it's about less than 1,000. Has price come down to that level? It will not. The market woman will tell you it is old stock I have.
Somebody is even advocating that we should have a price control mechanism.
Well, the president talked about what they call it, talked about marketing boards.
Marketing boards.
I hope that will come to fruition.
I also want to advocate that we need the price. Somebody suggested, it was Peter Okwara, he said there is need for us to say, this food, for example, there should be a price on it.
Yes.
Such that the man going to the market will know that this phone is 800 naira. And the various agencies of government will be monitoring these things. Because once the government provides the enabling environment, you not have a reason to exploit or extort the people.
We had it in those days when the economy is regulated, but now we're in a free market.
No, we're in a free market. But in the midst of the free market system we run, it will not be out of place for the regulatory agencies to also be monitoring. We are not saying you must sell it at this price. Yes. We are saying, okay, government has provided this, incentives.
Yes.
For example, I own a company now.
Yes.
I've gone to the Bank of Industry. I've secured loan at rates
of 9% or
below, far below what I will get in the commercial bank.
Yes.
It is expected that because I've benefited from what belongs to the community,
yes,
that I should be able to give back in terms of my pricing.
Exactly.
And my price should not be the same with somebody who has gone to the commercial bank.
I totally agree with you. You see, I totally agree with you that there are look at what happened in the rice production sector when the CBN gave loan and some of them have not even paid back. Yeah. Yet, the shylocks we have in this country, because there is poor regulation, there is corruption even, which, I think Emefiele used the CBN to run as his personal estate, corrupt the whole system. That is why today, they're not able to regulate. So, marketing board will regulate that. Rent tribunals. Because today, you just wake up and because somebody put up a new house and charges 1 million naira. You that your house is 30 years old. You said the rent has become 1 million naira. Yes. Therefore, you should pay 1 million or you pack out. So those things those quasi-regulations need to come to play on the things that the government can have total access on. Like I said, why will yam cost 200 naira in Boko and cost 1,500 naira in Lagos? There should be some. Somebody should ask the question. What they will tell you is transport cost. And I still tell people, transport cost per unit of product is the cheapest cost element in any production.
Alessa, we cannot exhaust this.
The government need. I'm happy the president is talking about working for the people. We need to go outside the box, outside the books, outside the papers, and begin to look at those non-economic factors. There are so many non-economic factors that are driving our inflation rate and sending more people into poverty. So many non-economic factors. We need to look at them. The government can reach out to those who know who can offer solutions. Some of us can offer solutions, even if it's for free. Yes. We can offer the solutions for free.
Alessa,
so that we know what we are doing.
We'll treat this topic some other time. We want to thank you very much for coming onto the program today, Alessa.
It's always my pleasure.
Until we come your way again next time, please continue to stay tuned to the conversation coming to you from TV360 here in Lagos, Nigeria. Till we come your way again, bye-bye.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
The president must see himself as the president of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
There are many sad and dark events in human history, but none devastated the African continent like slavery. To understand some of the plight those who were sold into slavery went through, one must visit Goree Island, their last point of departure from the African continent to the New World. Boarding the ferry to Goree Island. This is no slave ship, but it is no less built to capacity. But this time, with goods, tourists, traders, and for a hint of Noah's Ark, some animals, even though there are not 2 of each kind. Slavery ended more than 153 years ago. One can't help but feel sadness just walking the streets, trying to imagine what went through the minds of these citizens of various countries as they were hauled, sold, and shipped to a strange new world. Where did these slaves come from?
At that time, each African ethnic group had its price. And the most expensive ethnic group used to be the Yoruba. Yeah, they were from Nigeria. Because those Yoruba were very strong and tall, and they worked very hard in the plantations. That's why they were more expensive. They took those kids for 2 reasons. First, because in the plantations in America, there were some special jobs, typically for the kids, and they did them very well. And then because of most of those kids were from the parents very strong, because they thought that when they will grow up, they will be strong like their parents. That's why they took them. In all the 28 slave houses in Goree Island, the slave masters have the right to sleep with the young girls. Once a young girl was pregnant, she became free here in Goree Island or in Saint Louis in northern Senegal. But she wasn't totally free because usually she worked as domestic slave in the European houses, That's why some of the young girls found a kind of interest to be pregnant from white masters so they can be free. At the time, the price of a man was up to his weight and his muscle. So the minimum weight for men was 60 kilos. Those who have less than 60 kilos, they put them in this special cell just in order to fatten them up. Let me tell you that they did not buy slaves with money. It was exchange. For example, to buy a man up to 60 kilos or a virgin girl, you could give a gun or a barrel of wine or a blanket or something like that. To buy a child, you could give a mirror or a necklace or a piece of tobacco or something like that. So that's why people used to say that Africans also were involved into the slave trade, because some of the African tribal chiefs were collaborating with the Europeans.
Yeah.
And here, this is a punishment room for the rebels. Those who fought against their masters, they put them inside to punish them. As you can see, they could not stand up inside because of the hooks. 4 or 5 people at the same time in this small room. In 1991, we welcomed in this house Nelson Mandela. And then Mandela came inside. He stayed in for about 5 minutes. But when he came out, Mandela was crying. Right and left you have the waiting rooms. The slave used to wait here before the shipment. At the famous door of no return. Because once the slave got out from this door, it's mean bye-bye Africa. They took them to America and they never come back. Because of the rocks, the boat could not come near. That's why from this door, they built a kind of palm wooden bridge as a wharf. But during every shipment, some of them tried to escape by jumping into water, but they never could go far because either they were killed by the security guards or they were eaten by the sharks. Why the sharks? Because at the time, in all the 28 slave houses in Gorée Island, once a slave got sick, just to avoid the epidemics, they threw him into water and that attracted the sharks. That's why there were a lot of sharks around the island. Let me tell you that slavery lasted in Gorée Island from 1536 to 1848, more than 300 years. And during that time, there were about 15 to 20 million slaves coming from all over the African western coast. They transit through Gorée Island to America, and 6 million of them died because of bad treatment. 6 million.
very emotional, but he knows it's very, 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 in a high level, the history and the relationships between Africa and other countries. And also he knows exactly what's happened between the 16th until 19th. I'm talking about the slavery and the Atlantic slave trade.
Walking away from the island, there are some pretty paintings on the street walls. One must ask, what have these walls seen, or what cries have they heard over the last 300 years? Somehow, I don't want the real answers to that question. Maybe you do.
Well, I didn't know on time because I only knew that she found it difficult to read, and even when she started school, although I thought I was part of the reasons why she could not catch up with her mates, because I was actually I move around a lot. So when I moved, she has to change school. So I was thinking maybe that was the problem. But I actually found out later that even when I got her good teachers, the normal set of school teachers, I found out that she still finds it difficult. She's actually brilliant, very, very brilliant. But when it comes to book, she finds it difficult to read.
My name is Mrs. Uchenna Ahanotu, the director of Nene Special Education Center. I'm an educational psychologist, currently pursuing my doctorate degree in educational psychology from Imo State University. My dream had been always to help students to excel in their academics. So my dream had always been for gifted students. But then I now started coming across children with learning disabilities, and I found out that they were not getting the support they need. So I was helping them in my little way, one-on-one, until it now came to my doorpost. I got reports from the school that my daughter would be repeating class, primary 1. I was like, why? And they said she's not meeting up. This is a girl that is normally intelligent. You know she knows everything, but they said she couldn't read. So, as an educational psychologist, I now had to go back to my books because I had packed my books. I went back to my books to study, and now found out that there is something called dyslexia, and not just dyslexia, there were other neurological disorders. There was autism, there was ADHD, there was all those cerebral palsy. All of them are linked together. So that was how I started focusing on children with learning disabilities. I was going from school to help them, but then 2 times a week, 2 hours a day is not enough. It wasn't giving us the results we wanted. So we now had to open the center, and I told the parents, if you want an intensive program for your child, we could enroll him or her here. When she has developed to a certain stage, she can now go back to mainstream school. That was how Learning Center started.
High five. A sound. B sound. C sound.
The thing is, when a child is not performing well in school, and you know you have tried all you can, you've given the necessary intervention, lesson teacher, good books and all that, and she's still performing low, I think it's time to diagnose her. As a psychologist, we diagnose, when a child comes to our center, we diagnose the child first to know the specific area of challenge. And that's why we're able to now diagnose and say this is dyslexia, this is dyscalculia, this is ADHD, this is autism. It can become comorbid with speech delay, whatever it is. So diagnosis is what we do first. When we diagnose, we can now draw up an education plan for the child. All our children have their own education plan, because a child with dyslexia is not at the same pace with another child with dyslexia. So we do one-on-one therapy, we do one-on-one teaching for them, meeting them at their various points of need, and then they come up. So that's basically the strategy, identifying the specific disadvantage and then tackling it individually, not as a class. My staff and I, we go for professional training. We go for courses mainly online.
Okay, this is actually a timer. This is a timer we use for their section. So each section for a child, because of children with autism, most time they are diagnosed with ADHD, that's attention deficit hyperactive disorder. So it's difficult for you to treat them in a normal class and take a long time with them. So we time our sections with them. For each section for a child, we have 15 minutes. So I put on my timer for 15 minutes. So I know that at the end of 15 minutes, the child knows he's done. We see them standing up sometimes because they're like, just want to get up and leave. So it helps us to time them and get the best results.
Challenges. Well, sometimes I want them to, like, you're teaching the child something, no other child you can easily pick up, but you have to keep consistently going over it day by day and all, and it's like seeing as if you're not getting a result. Or when you're trying to keep kids with ADHD, getting them to sit still while you're teaching them, it's can be very, very tasking. And also, sometimes they just don't want to learn. It's sometimes like that.
She has improved a lot compared to what she was then, because she was having low self-esteem, and then, but here they kind of, brought our confidence up. Our confidence level is a lot high, and even if you are not careful, you won't even know that she has that condition again. So I'm actually happy with my experience with Nene Special Center.
Well, it's been quite encouraging. It's been good. It's been a lovely experience. Jaden, my son, couldn't do some things not until he started with the speech school. He couldn't feed himself. He couldn't identify letters. He couldn't identify numbers, but his hearing was perfectly well, and he's still fine. He hears very, very well, but he couldn't identify some things. But right now, he can identify, he can make sounds, and the rest of them. So I'm impressed.
Before, she won't even try to pronounce, as in, if the word is difficult, she just jumps it to the next word. But now she's trying to, and then she has improved in her reading. She has improved in her self-esteem. I don't know, psychologically, she has improved.
We started last year, 2022, with the few students I had. So this year we plan to go more social media and then reach out to schools, primary schools in particular, to inform the headmistresses, the proprietors, that there is a diagnostic center where they can diagnose a child's learning challenge, because most of them are harbored in these schools, but the teachers are confused. They just think maybe the child doesn't want to read. So we want to tell them there's a center where they can diagnose the child's disability, and then we can also help them to tackle the challenge. So our aim is just the proprietors, and then through social media, we reach out to parents that are worried about their child's development.
I want to ask every parent that when you observe that kind of situation with your child, you should seek. Don't just assume, because some secular schools, they don't really look out for these conditions in children. They just assume that the child is poor or the child is dull. They don't have provision for that in most schools. So, and then such child will have low self-esteem, and it will look like they cannot do anything, or they look inferior to their peers.
Clap for yourself, clap for yourself.
As I said, we started exactly May last year. So this is just 1 year, and we have had a total of 12 kids, about 12, 13 kids. And some of them are still on now.
Well, I must say it has been an amazing one. It has really been amazing. I get to meet wonderful kids every day. Yes, I see them and I'm like, God, these kids are just wonderful, because the world might not see them in that way, but meeting them every day has been like a blessing to me. Being able to interact with kids, it has been great.
My advice to parents that they should find out and keep a close eye on their child. Try to find out about their disabilities earlier in life, so that it will reduce the amount of time that we have to teach them.
Early detection matters. If your child is delaying, just come and find out if it's disorder or delay. We will tell you. If it's delay, we'll just tell you to go. With time, he will talk. But if it's disorder, you have to start immediately to intervene to help the child. Please find a good learning environment for your child. Find a center that understands their challenge and they'll be able to tackle their challenge with the right resources and with the right frame of mind. It's not a flogging issue. They need all the love and care they can get, and they also need the professional touch to get them out of where they are.
Hello and welcome to the program. I am Mary Kanu. As climate change continues to raise concerns on human survival, especially in the area of food security and good nutrition, there are predictions that Nigeria may face an even worse environmental and food production crisis. In Nigeria, 1 in 10 children die from hunger before the age of 5, and an estimated 25 million people are at risk of food insecurity, according to a report from the United Nations Children's Fund. Now, the disturbing figures from food insecurity has been met with concern from newly elected President Bola Tinubu, who declared a state of emergency on food insecurity. Crops are also now vulnerable to ever-changing weather conditions, and Nigerian smallholder farmers who produce some 90% of the country's food on unirrigated lands are mostly dependent on rainfalls which are either too heavy, resulting in flooding, or are sparse rainfall. The effects of climate change on food production have now become very direct and substantial, as Nigeria is ranked as the 53rd most vulnerable country and the 6th least country in the world to adapt to climate change. So how mitigation methods can be adopted to reduce the effects of climate change and also ensure sufficient crop yields? Let's speak to an environmentalist, John Ekoko, who joins me now on the program. It's good to have you join me. Now, it is no secret that our planet is facing a climate crisis, which led to President Bola Tinubu declaring a state of emergency on food insecurity. So how exactly does climate change, affect food production, and what's the level of damage done to Nigeria's agricultural production value chain?
Yeah, thank you very much. Now, the effect of climate change on food production is something that everyone is quite aware of. Recently, the UN Secretary General, he was saying the world has moved beyond climate change, right? Or global warming to global boiling. And you know what global boiling will do to agriculture? Plants can just not grow in very hot conditions. Now, in Nigeria, we seem not to be aware yet that we ought to move from food, feeding, and fiber production to environmental conservation. We still plant as if we have the whole earth laid out before us like before. We have lost a large portion of it to the climate change effect. That's number two. The present regime has not shown enough appreciation of the problems of climate change and global warming. If I recall correctly, just before the current president was sworn in, he said nobody should tell me about climate change. If they must talk with him, they should bring money before we listen to them. What is the implication? Number one is that when you bring climate policies before him, he's not likely to give them the preference that they deserve. Number two is that there's a lot of socioeconomic vulnerabilities. One, from the effects of climate change. Two, from the resultant hostilities. Banditry, kidnapping, violent crimes. If you check, it has been very prevalent in the northern part of Nigeria. You know the cause? It is because of the effect of climate change. Extreme temperatures. Look at the large scale rainfall and flooding patterns, much more than before. These are the effects, environmental effects. Now, what about the hostilities that resulted from it? Farmers cannot go to farm again. Benue, that used to be the bread basket of the country, I don't know how much food they're able to grow now. It has even become a security problem. If the government is serious, you don't just declare state of emergency or whatever name you call without tackling the fundamentals. Number one, if we must tackle the problem of insecurity, then you must make the environment friendly for agricultural production, because most of them are mainly farmers in the north. That's number one. Number two is that the security issue, with half of the population living in IDP camps, which type of agricultural production are you expecting? I thought it was going down, the banditry and kidnapping and terrorism. But recently you are hearing what I hear. They go into villages, they kidnap 20, 30, they disappear into the... I'm even surprised that there's forest there. Who will be encouraged to go back to the farm when there's no promise of absolute security? The long and short is, the so-called emergency is just a pronouncement. We need action to back it up. I can't see that action yet. So I cannot appraise what the president has said. We may need to give him like 6 months to do that. Then we will now start looking at how we can now enhance agricultural production by looking at environmental conservation. We cannot talk of conservation yet because we are still barely struggling to feed, to provide food, and provide fiber. That much I can say for now.
All right, so does this mean, that with the worsening climate crisis, you envisage an increase in food prices, and decrease in food availability?
We are not envisaging now. We are experiencing it. Food prices have gone over the roof. Tomatoes that used to be very cheap. You'll be shocked. Are you with me? That something of 200 naira has gone to 2,000 naira. In fact, for a lot of households, the monthly pay cannot feed them again. We are in a crisis situation. I'm repeating it again. A lot of households, in fact, there's no more middle class. Apart from the super rich, for about 80% of Nigerians, even not 90%, their take-home pay cannot feed them. So getting out of it, we just must, like I said earlier, go back to environmental conservation. And if I need to say a bit more, how do you want to farm in arid areas without irrigation? How do you want to farm without improved species of seeds that can withstand drought, that can conserve the water requirement to the barest minimum? You know about the Great Green Wall Project. You don't do them in 3 months. No. All over the world, technology has led the revolution in agricultural production. Nigeria must toe that line. Our subsistence farming of the past cannot sustain us. That is the truth. And most of our farming is subsistence based. How many plantation or mechanized farms do we have? How many? And the access roads to the farm up till today is still closed. The roads are horrible. The vehicles are totally dilapidated. And with the problem of fuel price now, the food products get to the market at very exorbitant prices. These things take coordinated planning, not ad hoc. How do you put it now? Either brinkmanship or showmanship. No, you don't need that. The regime has not persuaded me yet that they understand the seriousness of the problem in this country. Well, the ministers have just been sworn in. Let's give them time. Let's hope that the new Minister of Agriculture understands what is required and is ready to take the necessary step. I can tell you for free, the Minister of Environment and the Minister of Environment